because we actually we had 3 stores. It was just kind of weird. We were all over the place for a second. But now, we're kind of at a point now with we have a new store that we just set up. Mm-hmm. So if we go into the new store, let's see, this one, we can kind of see like what kind of the sales are particularly for going. So if I go to analytics, so we do from let's do from June. So we do from June all the way to what's that, 13? So you can kind of see what the sales are. Now this is just one of our stores, so we have another store that kind of does like the same amount of numbers. But this is just in the last
6 figures?
Yeah, pretty much in the last 3 months off of this, and this is like a brand new store that we do because we're kind of just switching stores all the time.
Yeah.
Just because we were doing Sellfy at one point. First we were doing Squarespace, and we did Sellfy, and then we switched to Shopify. But our Sellfy is still up, and so Sellfy pretty much does around the same amount as well. But you can kind of see and this is solely we have no overhead. So we're not spending anything to get these people. We're not spending anything to kind of, the only thing we spend is advertising. That's all. That's really none. We're only spending like $200 a day. So it's really none.
Well, if you spend like a stack a day, ooh.
Yeah. It's honestly if people aren't doing advertising, it doesn't make any sense. Right. But the thing, and this is, and I always say this, I'm doing everything. Right, and I'm trying to make people understand I'm proof that you don't people make excuses I can't do this because I don't have this, or I can't do this because I have this, or this, or this, or this. I do the marketing, I do the artwork, I draw all this. I have an iPad and I draw all this. I know you start this damn podcast before you get all that.
Welcome back to Chess Moves, best podcast in the world. No longer the East Coast of the 7-5 because we in Atlanta today. We are our good brother Graves Music House. I appreciate you. I thought we was going to his studio, but we at his house. It's just the same. So, tell the people.
The house is the studio.
Yeah. Besides music producing, graphic design, owner of RenderAudio.com. Tell the people what you get into. What are you most excited to let people know that you offer to the world?
Man, what I kind of offer to the world is genuinity.
Okay.
I kind of, to me, I'm an open book, and I'm always trying to, give everyone, advice from my perspective of what I've kind of done and accomplished, and I still feel like I haven't accomplished a lot, but I'm just kind of the exception to the rule that you don't have to rely on a lot of people to get something done, like you said, I do everything, graphic design, technology. I'm running a business. I also do music, and just kind of doing everything.
Anything creative, really.
Anything creative, yeah, 100%. Because it all falls under the same kind of vibes. When I look at kind of the greats, well, at least in music, wise, if you look at Dr. Dre, Kanye, Diddy, Jay-Z, all of these guys made their money outside of music.
Of course.
Right. It's always really about the pivot. Facebook, how Facebook started and it pivoted, right? Instagram,
We about to watch TikTok do it.
TikTok is about to pivot, right?
They monetize.
And right. So it's really, a lot of people sometimes get attached to what they built and they don't realize something greater is right around the corner from just trying to pivot, and still retain. Because, when you're building up all of this energy and momentum and things that you do, to invest all your time to building up this company or this business or this brand or whatever you're doing, you're building up that momentum, but it can dissipate if you don't put it into something. That's why, when was the last time you heard a 50 Cent album? It's been a minute, right? But he still makes millions and millions of dollars because he's diverted his energy.
If not more.
If not, he's making a lot more, right? Simply because he's taken the amount of the brand that he built music-wise and he's putting it towards, movies and television shows and,
water deals, all that.
Right.
Okay. So can you tell me about kind of your inception that kind of led to the pivot into these other industries? Like, where did you start? Where would you say your home base was, and kind of brought you into music?
I guess kind of the home base that kind of brought me into music. If I'm kind of reiterating the question, so what kind of got me into music, and then what led me to get into the other spaces?
Of course.
I guess with music, I kind of got into music at a young age. When I was young, I was listening to like, Atlanta music, like Soulja Boy and like D4L and all, like
what's coming out at the time.
Yeah, what's coming out at the time, right?
But that's dope that you were here for it. Did you feel like it was a different experience? Because I grew up listening to the same stuff, but I'm in different states.
Right. One of
the music was hot at the moment.
Right. Yeah. At the time, yeah. One of the things that I kind of like hold dear to my heart is that at the time when I was listening to Young Jeezy and Lil Wayne mixtapes and Ludacris, King of the South mixtapes and stuff like that, like I got introduced from a family member to like hip hop. They introduced me to like Slum Village and Jay Dilla and 88 Keys and all, and Flying Lotus and all of these, this alternative, branch of music that I'm just not used to hearing, and I'm just like, wow, like this is crazy, music, especially coming from listening to like snap back music.
Exactly.
So that kind of like broadened my horizon from just like, but don't get me wrong, I was still listening to that music, but I just kind of, it was weird for me because I was the guy who had like Phariside and Little Brother on the same iPod shuffle with like Lil Wayne and Ludacris, and it was just kind of a weird kind of mix of music. But I felt like being open to that, just that kind of spectrum, scope of music kind of helped me kind of grow as a musician. And at the time I was like 14, and since then, I was like, man, you know what? I kind of want to like get into this because nobody in my family makes music.
Okay.
I'm kind of like the first of the generation.
So what was the first project you decided like full-fledged?
The first thing I was doing, I was rapping. Like I wasn't even making beats. I was just trying to rap as a 14-year-old kid, and I was like, man, you know what? How am I gonna rap, man? I need beats. And then
I need something to rap on.
I need something to rap on. Then I found out you got to pay for beats. So I'm a kid. I don't know how to pay for beats. So I ain't got no money, right? So I'm like, dang, you know what? Let me figure out how to make beats. So it was weird. Like my pops had like a program on his computer called Magic Studio or something. It wasn't even a beat making program. It was just like a record, like you just record your voice or something. And so I was just kind of like messing around in there. And then I guess when I kind of got a little bit older, 15, I ran into like FL Studio, and then from there, early days, and then from there I just got obsessed. Like even as a kid, I was just like, my mom would catch me up at like 3, 4 in the morning, like on a school night, like making beats.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So like I just got obsessed.
Is it something that she would scold you for, or did she see the drive and the passion and let you rock?
So my parents, they kind of got hip a little bit, like kind of like when I was really into it, and they started realizing like some of the stuff I was making was cool. So they were really kind of pushing me, to do music, at least until I got to college, because like I kind of get kind of serious. But yeah, they were kind of supportive. They were taking me to beat battles and all that stuff, when I was younger. But yeah, I got obsessed with it. Like I wasn't going outside anymore. I wasn't.
Yeah, but that's how you become an expert,
Yeah, and that's perfect. That's one thing that I always feel like we should encourage. Especially the youth. When we go to school doesn't really teach you how to acquire a skill set, right? They don't really teach you that when you're younger and you take interest in photography or music or computers or anything, that you're actually spending, that's time that you're putting into developing a skill set that can assist you later down the road. You're 22, 23, 24. Your kid might not necessarily be a photographer or might not necessarily be a computer scientist or, make music, but they will have acquired a skill set or a trade, so they're not a novice when they're 24. And so when they want to start their business, they say, man, I need a logo. Oh, wait, I learned how to use Photoshop when I was a kid, right? So you're able to kind of, you're ahead of the curve before people who even think, there's people who are like 25, 26, 27, who are thinking about going to school to be a graphic designer.
A lot of people are just then starting to figure out what they like and what they
Right. So when you're a kid, you don't have all of these things like bills and the pressure that it makes that harder when you're older to do it, right? So when you're a kid, you don't really have any expectations.
And you know, I always tell these guys that I watched this Netflix documentary on these kids that the spelling bee kids on the other side, and it's like they tell the story about how like pretty much between the ages of like 5 and like 15, when these kids are focused, grinding, learning these words, they perfectionists. You would think that they're geniuses. And you get into high school, it's like they make friends, you know, they start to go to parties, and it's like every second you take away from that craft, you know, you lose it. Like you'll end up missing one word. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because you know, one of the things is because you know there's a difference between you know there's actually a book that I really like. Actually, I'm reading it right now. It's actually
I was going to ask you about that book.
It's called it's Mindset by Carol DeWitt, and it's a really great book. You know, this is my 3rd time reading it, but you know, it kind of changed my life. But it's a really good book. But basically, I guess long story short, it kind of just explains that you know as we grew up, you know, there's 2 type of mindsets that people have. There's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So people, you know, normally we're taught a fixed mindset, and simply what a fixed mindset is that we're taught that we do things to please others, right? Like for instance, as we're, you know, when we were kids, when we failed that test, we would think like, oh man, we did something wrong. My parents think I'm gonna think I'm stupid, or the teacher thinks I'm stupid, or dang, or you start thinking I'm stupid because my parents are gonna hate me that I got this C on this test, you know. But somebody with a growth mindset will see that C and say, you know what, it's a C, but it's not an F. I can improve. It's not bad. Or you can say, hey, you know what, I can study harder. I can, you know, put more work in, right? Because you're not looking at it as a loss. You're looking at it as a lesson, right?
Rather, not even a loss for the people around you.
Not even right. You're not thinking it shouldn't matter, right? And that's the thing too. You know, she did a pretty cool study, you know, and it was just crazy, you know, in the study. And I hope I'm not getting it wrong, but basically she got a bunch of kids, right? A bunch of kids. She put them in a room, and one by one she would give them a test, and the test would start super easy. They could figure it out. She would give these kids the test, and they would do the test, and she would progressively make the test harder until she got to a point where she just made it impossible for a kid to figure out. And what she noticed is every single kid, and she's done the study a bunch of times, and every single time she's done it, she noticed and observed that every kid that she's put the hard test in front of, they never complained, they never got angry, they actually laughed, and they actually enjoyed the challenge. They actually tried it anyway, and they were happy to kind of like try to figure this out, right? There wasn't no fear, right? That they didn't get it right? So what she observed is that as kids, there is no expectations that you have to fulfill for anybody else. So you're not afraid of the outcome. A failure. You're not afraid of failure. You're not afraid of failing, you know, the test, right? But as we get older, you have your teachers, your parents, your friends, all right. They're all putting these things on you to make you feel like, oh man, if I didn't pass this class, I'm stupid, or oh man, if I don't have the nicest J's, I'm not gonna get any chicks. You know, it's like it's all negative, and you're thinking about other people rather than trying to figure out to please yourself. And that's, just going back to what you were saying about like just kids, that's the difference between, as a kid, we're taught like, yo, you got to be a lawyer, you got to be a doctor. It's like it's unrealistic expectations, really, if you think about it. Really. Every person in school needs to be a doctor or a lawyer. Like really? Matter of fact, you're getting people set up for probably failure at that, because one, doctors and lawyers get taxed at the highest rate anyway, so that's the worst, right? Second, they have to deal with life and death situations daily, right?
There's only a small percentage of kids are going to be accepted.
There's only a small, right? And then there's competition in that field, right? There's still poor doctors and rich doctors, just the same way there's poor photographers and rich photographers, right? There's competition in every type of field, but not finding out what your kid wants or likes, and we all know what we like. When you get that feeling, it's like you feel it, right? And you want to learn more. And that's, that's one thing I always thought about too. Is like when, kids, just even when kids go to college, it's like they're trying to find what they want to do, right? But the big thing is, it's like if you don't love to learn, you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail, right? And we know what it is when you want to learn something. It's when you're staying up all night trying to figure out how to do it, right? If you're not trying to figure, school teaches us a generalization of a bunch of stuff that maybe might apply to you, maybe might in the future, right? I'm pretty sure none of y'all use trigonometry to this day, right? But it was something that they like, yo, you got to know trigonometry. You would, right? They give you 4 different classes of math. Why? Right? And it's not to say that, hey, there's not, like, that's not something you should know, right? It's that you didn't apply trigonometry to your daily life, right? Why was addition and subtraction so easy when we were doing it in school, and then all of a sudden it just got, because we'd applied it. When you went to the store, if you buy a honey bun and they give you $2, it's like, I need to know what my change is to make sure I get my money back, right?
Even the dumbest people know change math, know how to get their proper.
Right. So society says, so when you get into trigonometry and 3 people are good in the class and everybody else fails, they say that everybody that failed trigonometry is not smart. Something's wrong with them. That's not true. That's not the case. Right? It's just that math wasn't that's not what your interest was. Mm-hmm. And most people never get a chance to even find out what that interest is or what that interest, was, because they never get a chance to even explore. Because when you get older, you got too many expectations. You got bills, you got a family, you got kids.
Even kids in certain situations got life going on.
They got life going on. Right. Exactly. Right. So that's why I always say it's better to allow your kid to explore while he's young, while he doesn't have that many expectations, because he might stumble upon something that clicks for him. And it might not necessarily be that kid is like going to be a photographer. If your kid likes to to take photos or whatever, people think, oh, photographers don't push it. But at the same time, it's like, don't write it off, right? Some people might, oh, you can't be a photographer, you need to be a doctor, right? Not knowing that they could still become a doctor, but still maybe that take pictures, because you might get to a point where you have your own firm and you want to hire somebody, but you're like, man, I can do it myself. Right? Same with design, graphic design, music, whatever it is, these skill sets. And it doesn't necessarily have to be those type of skill sets. There's hundreds and hundreds of skill sets, right? That they don't teach us in school. They don't teach us how to, matter of fact, school doesn't teach us how to do taxes. They don't teach you how to do credit. You know what I'm saying? They don't teach you how to balance a checkbook.
So every skill that we all feel like we experts in this room, none of us got from school.
No.
Really?
No, right? Because school doesn't teach you, School doesn't care about higher education, right? They're just trying to build you to be a worker, right? Because when you get a high school diploma, what does that qualify you for? A government-based job. You just go work a government-based job. They're preparing you for the workforce, right?
Bells, ringing bells, lunch on hour. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
School's free. Why is kindergarten and 12th grade free? It's like they do that because it's like they're banking on the fact that a percentage of these kids, see, they set unrealistic expectations on you by saying, all right, yo, you need to pass 4 trigonometry classes, knowing that not everybody's going to like trigonometry, right? So they're banking on the fact that a high percentage of kids come out of the schools that, hey, we paid for your whole school to get you a high school diploma. We're not, right. Hey, and then it's crazy too, when you graduate, it's like they expect you just to know what taxes are, right? Immediately.
Kids go to college and
baffled. They don't tell you. And on top of that, they got credit card people on the campuses trying to give you credit cards.
Discover.
Right. When I was on college, I remember they were trying to get you to do that, right? And kids don't even know what a credit card is, right?
But at that point, they know you an adult, you 18, and you prime.
You prime. Oh yeah.
Bro, you can't drink.
And you can't drink. Right. It's what's crazy. That's crazy to me.
You can't make decisions on your own body, but they'll let you mess your credit up.
Oh, they'll let you mess your credit up.
My question with that is, you found your few skills that you became expert in young. When did you feel confident enough that you started to hone your craft and started to be recognized by people?
Okay, I actually remember that moment vividly. It was literally around the time I remember when I was in school at the time. My pops gave me it was kind of like an ultimatum, but it really wasn't an ultimatum, like, because he still supported my music career. But he told me, he's like, look, like,
I believe that you can only really put 100% into something. Like, so it's either you're gonna do music or you're gonna do school. Can't do both.
Okay.
Right? Right? I was like, all right, cool, that's for it. And he was like, basically, you got to figure it out by the end of the year. And I was just like, oh, okay. So I just remember at the time, you know, at that time, I was going through some crazy stuff. You know, like I said, you know, I was signed to a guy, and some stuff happened where I was like, I wasn't signed to him anymore, and I had finally got my first.
Artist or label?
It was another producer. He was like signing producers,
okay.
right? So like when I had signed to him, it was just like, you know, it was just some stuff where it was just like he didn't really fulfill his end of the deal. So the contract was supposed to be null and void.
Okay.
But then I finally got my first placement ever, and I did it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden he kind of came out of nowhere, and he was trying to, you know, it was just a lot of stuff, right? So it was just, you know, dealing with that. It made me not even want to deal with the music industry. And then, but at the same time, I still knew I loved music. So I was just like, man, you know, what can I do, you know, to start up, like try it, you know, what's like a kind of like a Hail Mary. So I kind of just threw a Hail Mary, you know, like I was like, man, you know what, let me change my name. Because at the time, my name I used to go by my government name, which was C Justice. That was my production name. And I was like, man, let me change my name. So I changed my name, and then I made a SoundCloud. I'm not sure if y'all familiar with SoundCloud, but I made a SoundCloud. I changed my name, and as soon as I did that, I wasn't making different music or anything. It was like the same music, but as soon as I did that, it's just like I don't know why. But my main thing was like I kind of did it. You know, the reason why I came with my name was Graves is because of 2 Chainz.
Okay.
It's actually a funny story, but and every time I tell somebody, like, what? 2
Why
Chainz?
does the name change work for so many people?
It just works.
Brent Fayez too.
Yes.
He used to go by Sonder.
Right. It just works, right? So that's the thing. When you change your name, you know, I just saw, you know, 2 Chainz being in his 30s at the time, and you know he used to go by Titty Boy, and he changed his name to 2 Chainz. It just worked for some reason. It just worked, right? And
can I throw something out there?
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I think it might have worked.
Yeah.
You get the satisfaction of starting over, but with knowledge.
Right. See, no. And I always say that too. When as an artist, as a painter, right? When they finish a canvas, right? They always have to start over with a new canvas, but they're more experienced after that last canvas. But they get a whole new canvas, a whole new painting. A lot of people don't get a chance to even start over, or they're scared of starting over. Me, I love to start over. Like I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I started this company like to start over, even though my music career is doing cool. You know, you have to start over, right? And you know, one of the things I knew at the time, I was like, all right, boom, new name, new SoundCloud, new everything, and I just started uploading remixes at the time to my SoundCloud. And when I was doing it, for some reason, you know, the remixes I was doing, like, you know, Future remixes and Ray Sherman remixes and stuff, and they just
like kind of remaking the beat to your own.
Yeah, right. So to the beats I would send out to artists, like nobody would rap on my beats. So I was like, but I knew my beats were cool, right? So I was just like, man, I'm just gonna put them out myself. And just kind of envision and make remixes to see like what they would sound like on my beats. So when I would put those remixes out, they would get millions and millions of plays on SoundCloud. And and going back to your thing, like that was the moment that I knew, like I know I'm not wasting my time. Like I know something's there, you know, because I was like, man, when I first hit my first million on my own beat, on my own song, I was just like, okay, like something's here. I just got to figure this out. And then I just uploaded another remix, and then that got 1 million plays. And for a while, I just started doing my own thing. I was just putting out my own remixes, my own beats, and my own stuff. And my SoundCloud was just kind of going up. And then it's kind of the craziest thing. It's like, and it happens, I know people, you kind of probably know what this is, but it's like when you start to focus on your own stuff, everything that you were trying to get starts coming. So then now I was getting placements. Right. When I was trying to get placements and be on artists' albums and stuff, it wasn't coming. Like, it just, like, no, it wasn't happening. But as soon as I started focusing on my own stuff, they come to you. Hey, we need beats for such and such. Hey, you trying to get in the studio with this guy, or you trying to work with this guy, da-da-da-da. Because it's like, once you get your numbers, once you get your numbers up, it's just like, it doesn't matter how you do it. It's going to work. People are going to come to you because you're going to be in the same rooms regardless, right? So the people that I was trying to reach and the people that I was trying to work with, they just started just coming to me. And, you know, it's just the weirdest thing. It's like when you're looking for the remote, you can't find it. As soon as you stop looking for the remote, it's like it's right there. Like, man. Right? So that's kind of like the approach that I just knew at that time. It's like when I started doing it, I was just like,
So who are some of the more notable people that you work with? You know, coming to Bryson, of course. I really want to get into how you even developed that, because that's one of my favorite albums.
Yeah. It's a funny story about that. But yeah, man. You know, I've worked with so many people, man. You know, obviously Bryson. I work with Black, Kid Cudi, Logic, Chris Brown.
And do you feel like you travel a lot to meet with these people, or you feel like the kind of Atlanta kind of brings the hub to you?
I mean, that was really one of the core reasons I moved to LA. You know, I lived in LA for about 5 years. That was my main thing, was like to move to LA just to work on music, you know, because that's where like most people, you know, tend to be at. Yeah, so like kind of when I went to LA, that's when I was kind of just working with a lot, like going into the studios. Kind of just getting networking and stuff, because it's like Atlanta, you know, when I was, you know, Atlanta's kind of clicked up, so it's like it was harder to kind of break into those circles, because it's like if you don't know these people, it's like, you know, you're not really gonna be able to get into these circles, because in the music industry, it's all just about connections. Like that's all it is. Like, you know, it's not really about talent really that much anymore. It's just really about who you know. So it's just like I just knew it was just like, okay, cool, you know, I'm gonna go to LA, and then I'm just gonna, you know, pursue music even further, because I knew at the time, like when I started doing the remixes and stuff, I think what really set it apart, what really made me notice, and I remember this, is when I quit my job. When I was working at CarMax, and I think I was making like $400 every like 2 weeks. You know, it was like some crazy stuff, and I just remember like when I started doing remixes and my SoundCloud was kind of going up, I started getting booked to DJ, because I was also DJing for a while. Like I DJed for like a minute, but I started getting booked to do gigs and stuff, and
Replace that income.
Yeah, like I did one show and I had like got 1,500, you know, off of just doing one show, and I was just like,
I
was like, right, and I remember too, like when I was, you know, working at CarMax, you have a boss, and you have like people who are higher than you, but they're not your boss. And I just remember, like one of the jobs I had to do at CarMax was you have to take pictures of every car on the lot, and you have to like take 30 pictures of every car. You gotta, you know, 30 pictures of every car on the lot. And I remember we took pictures of them. We got everything done. We finished all the cars, and I was just so happy. I was like, man, we're good. We did them all. I just remember this one guy who's not my boss just came to me. He was like, yeah, you know, I looked over the pictures you guys took, and they, you guys gonna have to retake all of them. Just because he didn't like them, because he said they were like, because he didn't like them.
But he's not your boss.
But he's not my boss. He's not the boss. I quit. I literally quit. That was the time I quit. I was like, I bet. I went straight to the boss. I went straight to my boss. I was just like, why? I'm only getting paid $400 like every 2 weeks, and I just got paid $1,500 like from just doing one show. And I was just like, man. I went to my boss. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like I'm out. And then from there, because the thing was is like, I just got $1,500 from one show, and I already had 7 shows booked. Lined up.
So you know how your rent's getting paid.
Right, I knew how I was getting paid. Right, because I already was like, oh man, I already got this stuff kind of lined up. So I was just like, man, why? I don't even need to work here anymore. Okay. So that's when I quit, and then I guess like a month, 2 months later, I moved to LA. That's when I kind of moved to LA, and then I was just on a run, man. I think to this date I've done like 500 shows. Like,
wow, just DJing. You know what's crazy? We were talking about like allowing children to do what they want, and Mike told me. Like we go back and forth all the time. Like, hey, what do you actually like to do? What would you do once you get on? Yeah. And I'm like, yo, for real, I would sit in the room and make music all day. Like if you see my house, I just have a whole bunch of instruments. I mean, nothing like this. Yeah. I got a bunch of instruments all over the crib, you know. Yeah. Dope. So you network, you build your circle, you start to get these bookings. How did you end up working on this album, TrapSoul? Like I said, this is one of my favorite albums. I was getting tattooed to this album.
Yeah.
14, 15.
Oh, that's crazy, man. You know, at the time when I met Bryson, it was actually crazy because
Was it in LA?
Yeah, it was in LA. But what was crazy about it was that how I kind of came about the album wasn't the way that, you know, you would expect. Okay, so like I said, when I was doing my music, I was doing my own remixes, doing my own thing, and somehow things just started coming to you. So at the time, I had man, it's a tragedy what happened recently. But at the time, I did a Travis Scott remix, and the Travis Scott remix ended up getting a lot of plays on SoundCloud. And I just remember at the time, Travis Scott tweeted, he was like, yo, I'm in the club right now, and I need to know who did this remix of this Don't Play song, on my Don't Play song. And everybody, all my followers, they just kept saying, yo, this is Graves, it was Graves, it was Graves, it was Graves, and Graves. And then he ended up following me, and then when he followed me, he DM'd me, he was just like, yo, I need you to send me the stems to this remix because I want to perform this for the show, for live shows. It's like, okay, cool, bet, whoop-de-whoop. So I sent him the stems, and then he reached out again. He was like, yo, look, and I'm working on Rodeo. He's like, at the time, he's like, yo, I'm working on my album. I need some beats.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of gassed because it's like it's Travis at the time. So I was like, okay, cool, bet. So I just started making beats, and one of the beats that I
put you into like that mode.
It kind of put you in the mode because I was kind of over producing for artists because I was already succeeding doing my own thing, but I was like, all right, this is different. Somebody's asking me, he's hitting me direct.
Put a mentorship together, bro.
Right.
like what equipment you need.
Right.
How to get bookings, how to get artists, how to grow, like, bro.
Yeah, it was crazy because at the time it was just like he reached out to me and he was like, yo, send me some beats. So I was like, okay, cool, bet. So I sent him some beats, and I made some beats because I didn't really. One of my things was like making music. It's like it's weird. You can make all the music in the world, but when somebody wants to hear something or wants something, you don't have any music at all. Like, I'm a producer. Like, so it's like when he asked me for beats, I was like, oh, I don't really have anything for him, but I just started making beats. So one of the beats that I made, I sent it to him, but he ended up never using it. But at the time, there was a new artist kind of coming up, and it was Bryson. And I remember at the time he was the A&R. He was Bryson's A&R, but now he's actually the CEO of Def Jam. His name is Tunji. But at the time, before he became the CEO, he was A&R at RCA. And at the time, we were playing him beats, and
beats that you made for Rodeo.
Right. And he was the one who was like kind of listening to that beat. He was like, yo, you know what? This might sound kind of cool for Bryson, like this artist that we kind of working on. And at the time, like I was familiar. The only song I really knew from him was like Don't. But I wasn't really familiar with his music like that. So
I mean, wasn't that, because I remember hearing his story, wasn't that the only song he had produced?
Kind of. It was like, he was working at Papa John's at the time, and he was just kind of like, he was kind of rapping and singing and stuff on like songs and stuff, but he found a beat online and just kind of made a song and put it up on SoundCloud.
Just like that.
And then SoundCloud kind of blew up, and that's how it kind of like, his
So
career.
now the album has been built around the single.
Right, the album was kind of built around the single, so, Don't was already at like, 500 million plays or something like that, some crazy number. So he was kind of off of that. And then, so they were working on the album. The craziest thing, what's crazy is that when TrapSoul first came out, the blogs were saying it was like one of the worst R&B albums of all. Like, they were like, yeah,
of all time.
Yeah, they were trying to say that. They were trying to say that. So it was kind of messed up. It was kind of weird. Like, we were just it was like a weird time because it was like, okay, like, so now we're working on this. He's working on the second album, so it's just like we're dealing with that. But then all of a sudden, like, I guess like a few months later, now they're saying it's like it's a classic. It's like, yo, it's like one of the best R&B albums of all time, and like it's a classic, and it's like changing. Like, people just started copying like Bryson's aesthetic and the style and music, and so at that time, I guess it started picking up. But it was just weird because when it first came out, people weren't liking it. It wasn't that people weren't liking it; the people loved it. The blogs were trying to like shame it, like saying like he's a Drake clone or something like that, But
I really do feel like he kind of made his own sound.
Yeah, right.
Like I wouldn't say he's a rapper singer.
Yeah, right.
But he definitely has his own style of R&B,
Like, there wasn't besides Drake, there really wasn't anybody that was rapping and singing that was kind of more legitimized. I mean, Chris Brown was doing it.
The person I could think of at the time
was Chris Brown. Like, he was
like really just. I can only think of a song, the Tuesday song. I love Coming. Like, that's the only thing that comes to mind.
Right.
Anybody else,
Right. But at the caliber where Drake was at, it was like there was really nobody. And So it was like obviously he's gonna get compared to Drake, you know, like because he's rapping and singing.
Which is good and bad.
Which
you know,
was
like
right.
David and Goliath, but I really feel like he came with that heat. So like, did you produce on every track on the album? Did you?
Nah, so I worked on the beat that was supposed to be for Travis ended up going to Bryson and ended up becoming 502 Come Up.
Okay, that's fine.
And after 502, after the TrapSoul album, then True to Self came out. I produced the second track on the album, so it was No Longer Friends.
Okay.
And then his last album that just came out, which was Anniversary, I mixed a couple on there, I assisted because there actually was an engineer who mixed all the album, but I did like kind of the pre-mixing, like just mixing the beat before it went to mastering and mixing. And then I produced Sorrows on there. But me and Bryson actually had that song for a while. Like, honestly, I wasn't really even trying to be on the album. I was just kind of helping him with whatever he needed. Like,
yeah, so I mean, do these albums work more like films and movies to where, like, do you give him the beat and then hope he uses it, or is it collaborative to where he needs your permission? Like,
so some artists are different, you know. When I worked with Black on his second album, East Atlanta Love Letter, I was kind of like, I was called in to kind of help on a few records. Some of the records didn't get on the album, but you know, I was closely in the studio, like kind of working with Black on that. You know, on the tracks that we did.
So you kind of have a style of artist who you work with, no? Would you say that?
I guess it kind of developed that way. It was just kind of like, it just kind of laid out. You know, I wasn't really trying to be the R&B guy, but it just kind of happened. Like, I guess for me, like, it was just weird because when I was DJing, you know, the energy you have to have for DJing, it was just like, you gotta have a lot of energy. I stopped DJing around 2017. I quit DJing because around that time, for some reason, I ended up in this like EDM kind of world where it was just like, I was getting booked with, it was just too much. Like, it was like, I was getting around dubstep. I was being booked with dubstep artists and Skrillex and EDM guys and all these people. And it was just like, I was like, yo, this is not my music. Like, that's not what I'm doing. Like, and even at the same time, it was just like, I was killing myself. Like, you know, like I went all, like, I've been everywhere. Like I DJ'd like tours and stuff, like Japan. I've been to Japan, Europe, Canada.
That DJ type of stuff is different.
Oh man,
I'm telling you, like, this man did it all. Like, I've been trying to DJ for like 5 years with my little thing.
Oh man, like it was one of those things, man. Like, and because at the time SoundCloud got really popping, and I was lucky enough that my SoundCloud was like got super popping. So I was doing I had my own headline tours. I had supporting acts. I was doing kind of my own thing, and even when I was doing that kind of stuff, it was just a constant, like, I think I knew, like, when I had did a tour, I think it was either Australia or Japan, but one of those, I had finished the tour and I was supposed to get paid for the tour, and, you know, when the tour was done, like, something happened where the guy who, so when you have a tour, you know, you have a booking agent, you have a manager, you have a manager, a tour manager, a booking agent, and you have a tour booking agent. So you have the booking agent that books you normal shows. You have an international booking agent. So the guy who booked
domestic international.
Right, you have domestic international. And then the international, when they book you, they book you through another agency. So you see,
it's the last.
It's right. And the sucky part about it is you're the last one paid in this whole equation, right?
And you're doing the work.
And you're doing most of the work, right? So I had finished this entire tour, and I was supposed to get paid like 10 racks or something like that. And then like, because we went from Japan to China. We did like 6 shows in Japan and 4 shows in China. So it was like a 10 tour date. And when I had finished that tour, I came back and I was like, man, you know what? I hope I need to get paid because it was a lot of work. And it got to a point where the one guy who booked the show completely, he was some dude in Australia. He decided that he just didn't want to pay me. He didn't pay anybody that did the tour. So it was me, Pomo, and Pyramid Plaza. So he decided not. And it was crazy was Pomo, he was a band act, so he had a band, right? So him and his band don't get paid. So he just decided he didn't want to pay us because he used the money that he made from us to go book the next tour.
Deposit other shows.
Right, deposit other shows. So he just like didn't want to pay us. So from now, remember that chain of people. So it's like I'm the last one that's in the equation.
So when that happens, do they press you to then go get the money, or all these people that you
at the time
hire?
I'm supposed to have the manager. It came to a point where my manager was telling me like we got to take a L. You know what I'm saying? And then I just knew that was the time. That was the point where I knew I was just like, man, I can never let somebody tell me when I can get paid and when I can't get paid.
So that's kind of what brought you into taking your success in music and building your own business?
Kind of. It kind of got me, because remember, it's a mindset thing, right? So you have to get into the mindset of ownership, I always knew that, and this was around 2017, so this was like, what was 2021 now? So it was like 4 years ago. That was the seed. Like, that was kind of the seed where it was just like, man, I can't let somebody control my money, right? I don't care who it is, right? Like, I can't be the last one paid in the equation just because somebody across the world just decided, like, nah. And I was just like, nah. Like,
exactly.
I can't let
stuff like I got a temper, bro. I can't fly to Australia.
Yeah. Right. But one thing that I did learn. But one thing that I did learn is, sometimes you gotta move it on. You gotta move on. Some people will get so caught up on that $2,000, $3,000 that they'll hold that grudge for years and years and years and years, not realizing that it's been 3 years and you're still worried about this $2K. You could have made way more than that by now, right? Mm-hmm. So it was just like the way I kind of operate is I give people 100% of my trust up front, right? Because life is too short. We don't have time to sit here and build, and life is moving too fast. So I give people 100% of my trust up front. If you do something wrong to me, I just trust you 10% less, trust you 20% less, 30% less, right? So that's kind of how I operate. So I just knew at the time, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm just never gonna do business this way ever again. I'm never gonna do business with these people. Lesson learned, keep it moving and keep it going.
Bro, you think about it, like in this field, we done learned the same lessons with different amounts, like for a laundromat. I'm like, yo, I could have went and fought for that laundromat. I'm a business analyst, so I tried to buy a laundromat. Right. And I put a deposit down, and they were like, yeah, we don't feel like doing it anymore.
Exactly.
So the lawyer's like, hey, you want to keep going, you're going to have to put some more money down. You're going to take a while.
Right. So it's better to just kind of wipe your hands and move. You see, the thing is, like, it goes back to that. It goes back to that when we were talking about the fixed mindset, growth mindset, right? If you're able to see it as just a lesson and not a loss, you're able to learn from it, you're able to grow from it, and you're able to use that you're able to use that as a stepping stone to move to something better and something bigger, right? And it's another thing too. It's like it's about developing that mentality of that money just flows to you, right? The reason why people would get caught up on that is because money's not flowing to you then, right? You need it, right? So it's crazy how mindset kind of works. Like, people won't understand that before you get rich, you have to think rich, and you still might be broke, but you got to think rich, right? Because what happens is, the craziest thing about your mind is, matter of fact, what's crazy is your mind can't tell the difference between what's perception and what's reality.
So if you just repeat it enough.
Have you ever seen people on the street that be like, yo, the world's ending and this and just acting kind of crazy, right?
They believe.
They're not wrong, because their perception is warped to think that, right? Their mind is that's just what their mind believes, right? Perception. Matter of fact, there was a study case, and I think it was like kind of a theory or kind of like a hypothesis, but it was kind of crazy. The guy said, yo, look, if you go to Japan, right? What does the green light mean at the traffic? Go. What does red light mean? Stop. If you go to Dubai, what does red mean?
Stop.
What does green mean?
Go.
If you go to Australia, what does green mean?
Go.
Same thing, right? It's a universal thing that we've all come to a conclusion that's agreed upon, that red means stop and green means go. Mm-hmm. Right? We just all agree on it. Right? There's nothing like we came to terms and said, yo, this is it. It's just a universal.
It changes colors and countries.
Right. None of it changes color. We've all universally just came to a conclusion that, hey, green means go, red means stop. Now, they said there's a case that where you have perception, how perception affects you as a person does not necessarily mean you're wrong, right? For instance, if you had a kid and you raised this kid in a closed off society, and you taught this kid that red means go and green means stop, right? And as he gets older, he's taught that. Matter of fact, everybody in this contained place is taught that. Now, when they get out to the world and realize, they say, da da da. Are they wrong? Is that wrong? Like, are they wrong?
I mean, you're not wrong technically.
They're not wrong technically, right? Because they were taught that. That's just because their perception, the society was taught that, right? Now it's the masses, right? So the masses say you're wrong, but you're not technically wrong. Mm-hmm. But everybody has agreed that, look, you're just gonna mess up the system, man. Right? We're not gonna change.
Like, we're not mad at you, but you messing us up.
We're not mad at you. You're messing us up.
I mean, court of public opinion, bro. If someone said that, you could be dead right. Like,
right.
OJ, he could be dead
right
clear, but like court of public opinion think he killed that girl.
Right.
You gonna suffer.
You're gonna suffer the consequences because it's the court of public opinion. Now you could not have done it, but if they find you, they find you, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the crazy way of thinking. That's the bad terms of just perception is that obviously you can get delusional or whatever, but the way how perception is crazy is you can use it to your advantage, and just by changing your perception, like if you want to become if you want to be something, you just got to become that, right? You got to think rich, you got to think wealthy, and then what happens is you start to attract these things subconsciously. You start putting yourself around people that are smarter than you. You start trying to learn things. You start doing little things that you didn't even notice that you're going to do,
until you decide.
Right. And people don't understand that. If you tell somebody, hey, if you want to be successful, you just got to think successful. Just be successful. What does that mean?
That's crazy.
Just be successful. You just got to be it. And what happens is when you start to be it, you just start realizing, you start making decisions that ultimately end up being that goal. Right?
So the small wins.
The small wins.
Oh, it's successful. Did this?
Right, that's it. So some people, you tell that to some people, they get kind of like, it's not that easy. No, it is that easy. It is that easy.
They're looking at the whole picture. They're looking at all the accolades.
See, you know what it is? People don't see the journey. They see the result, right? And that's what they want the results, but they don't want to take the. They don't want the process, they want the prize, right? So, and another thing that what people don't kind of realize is that a lot of people don't have hindsight, they don't have foresight, right? If there was a I forget who said it, but he said if you had a picture, if you would show a picture of a forest or a picture of some trees to some people would just look at that picture and say, it's a picture of trees. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's it. That's all I see is a picture of trees. Mm-hmm. Other people who have hindsight and foresight will say, "Oh, that's a forest. Oh, it looks like it's in the tropical rainforest of the da 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 da. Oh, look at the oak. Look at the oak of the right. Look at the way the trees are. This looks like this is right. Like there's two different types of people, right? Some people just look at the picture and say, "No, it's just some trees. Why you just show me some trees? Look at it, really look at it, right? So, and that's kind of like." The thing is, a lot of people don't see 5 years from now. They don't see 10 years from now. Me, I always work 3 months ahead. So I'm when I do stuff, I'm thinking about 3 months, 4 months, 5 months.
So you're already in January.
I'm already in January. Right. I'm already in January. And sometimes it kind of hurts because it's just I just feel like life is just going too slow. I'm like, man, I need to hurry up because I need it to be February. I need it to be January, March, da 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 da.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
That is a dope concept because people, when you go back to school, they program us to live a week at a time.
A week at a time.
So you fiending for Friday.
You're fiending for Friday.
And then when Sunday comes, you dread it.
You dread it.
So I feel like you break out one mold, right? Make your own mold. It don't have to be a schedule. You don't have to break out a weekly schedule and get to a 2-week schedule and be like, I look forward to every other Friday. But like you look forward to, every quarter. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what satisfies you. So you can sit here on the weekends and not feel like you're missing out.
Exactly.
You can sit here for 2 weeks straight and feel like, all right, cool, let me put this out because I ain't missing out on nothing. Those parties that's happening those Fridays, I wasn't even supposed to be there. You know
right. Some people don't understand the concept of working, some people don't understand the concept of you have to hustle. You have a main job and you have a main hustle and you have a side hustle, right? People think when you finish the main hustle that now you got to take a break. Right? success is really as simple as having a main hustle and having a side hustle, and you work the side hustle to the side hustle it becomes bigger than the main hustle.
Supplement your income.
Right. It supplements the income, right? Most people do the main hustle and do the side hustle and quit the main hustle before the side hustle is ready to be the main hustle.
So now you can't afford.
To maintain the lifestyle. Right.
Marcus said something like that, but he was talking about time. He said, yo, if you can take my 40 hours, I still got enough time to work on myself. And I got that from what you were saying. And then you was like, yeah, I was young, I could do that. I can't do it now.
You can't, right? Because your time, but the thing about time is funny. You make time for what's important.
Oh, yeah.
If you got to go to the bathroom, right? You're gonna do anything in your power to figure out how to go to the bathroom. You don't care who you talking to. You don't care where you at. You could be in a meeting with Steve Jobs, and if you gotta go. You are gonna go, right?
Unless you're gonna be embarrassed.
Unless you're gonna be embarrassed. You make time for what's important, right? So, when you start realizing, it's like, man, you start putting your life is really a hierarchy of what's important to you, right? You just start realizing you can't just give it to everybody. You just can't hang with your boys.
The more successful you become, like the more valuable your time will be. So it's
right.
Like, okay, I made $10,000 a month every month this year.
Right.
Next year I can make 20.
Right.
Am I going to continue to do the same things I did
now,
this year?
Now here's the beautiful thing about it though. You want to work hard so you can work less. To be successful, your goal is to work less and still benefit more from working less. Right?
It's the same amount.
Right? Nah, because if you think about CEOs of businesses and they work so hard so the business can run itself. Right? How did Steve Jobs get kicked out of his own business? Because he had like 11, 12 people on the board that was just like making decisions, right? Meanwhile, it's like, obviously he had to come back because he's the vision, but you work hard so you can work less in the future, but still make money. Because when you set up the system of having, matter of fact, there's another book over there too, it's called Passive Income. But when you set up that passive income, you start realizing like, the goal is to make money while you sleep. That's while you're doing work. So you have more time to hang with your kids. You have more time to go do the things you love to do, right? Why do you see rich people play golf all the time? You think they just not making money while they on that course?
Yeah. So to interrupt you a little bit, we just took a 2-day, mastermind, where we planned out our whole 2021.
Yeah.
Right.
2022.
My bad. I apologize. It was like, work 4 days?
Yep.
Work first quarter.
4 hours for the first quarter?
Yep.
Work, 1 day or something like that? Or
I don't remember.
dang, it was 4 days. I think it was 4 days. So
it totaled like 10 hours for the year though.
yeah, so it was like work 4 days that month. So we already do our craft, so we gotta teach for 4 days. The whole time we're honing our skills.
Yep.
So while we're teaching live, we're packaging it, we're recording it, and then after we get to the end, we're just selling what we already did.
You know what that's called? That's called, and I say it all the time, and this is nothing new. People know this. You gotta work smarter, not harder. That's it. Working smarter will always beat working hard. People think that just because you work hard, you get a seat at the table. That's not true. You just get an invitation to the party, right? You don't even get to get there yet, right? So you still got to put in work to get there, right? So people think like, well, you don't think the single mother with 3 kids and 3 jobs is not working hard? She's breaking her back, right? You don't think the guys who work on roofs all day and this and then, well, that's kind of bad because they make money. But you don't think the people who get up to go, work in the morning, yeah, right, sun up, sundown, you don't think they're working hard?
But the people who they work for are making way more.
Right, and they might not making nothing. The single mom with 3 kids and 3 jobs not making nothing.
Sheesh.
Right? Right? I was talking to my boy the other day, and he was telling me how a while ago he had asked his grandmother for like $25, and she said, I don't got it. And it just made me think, $25. Like, we all know $25, that's nothing. That's like 25 cents, right? But it's just crazy to think that, what is it? They said the average salary for a man in America is like $37,000 a year? That's average.
If our business did that, we'd go out of business.
Right. So when you think about it, it's like, man,
Average man is barely breaking even.
He's barely breaking even, right? So when you think about these things, it's like, man, you know, it's so important. It's so important to get into that mindset of, you know, when I first moved to LA, I was paying $400 in rent because I was sleeping on the couch, right? When I first lived out here, I was only paying like $200, $300, but I had roommates. Now I've gotten to a point now where I'm paying $2,400 a month, and I'm trying to progress to where it's like boom, 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 36, whatever, or less if I get a crib. Right, you keep that pressure, right? Because the thing is, it's like, right? Because you have to get it to a point where I was like, man, you know, when I did 400, I was like, man, the next place we're moving to, they're like, hey, can you do 800? I'm like, 800?
If you said no, you wouldn't have grown.
I wouldn't have grown. So I'm like, you got to make 800 the norm. Boom, let's do it. 800. I live in a place for 800. Then we finally got to a point where like, hey, we need 1,200 a month when I was in LA. It's like, all right. Guess so. Let's do it. I have no choice, right? And most people get a sense of like, oh man, you know, like, man, I don't know if I can do this or I can do that. Sometimes you have to put that, like you said, that pressure on yourself to force you to kind of work, you know, to force you to kind of, you know, grind and get that, right? So it got to a point, you know, I went from having to spend $200 in rent to now it's $24. And now you know, I want to make it less because I'm in Georgia now. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to be paying that much.
No
in Georgia.
reason to get got.
Right, to get got. But at the same time, it's like you said, it's that pressure. You know, you got to change your mindset. You know, and I even knew, like, I changed my mindset in 2018, 2019 because I just had a lot of negative people around me, and I just started realizing it was just like it's very draining. Like, it's very, very draining. The energy stuff is real, right? Like. And I know it's real because I've been great. I've been good, you know, for a minute right now. And I just ended up talking to one of my old homies that I didn't talk to in a while. But, you know, he's kind of like a negative person. So I was like, you know, this is my homie, though. Let me talk to him. And I'm telling you, man, like, I haven't talked to the dude in like 2 years. And just talking to him over the phone. Like, I could feel my energy being drained. Like, I could feel it. I could just feel it over the phone. Right? And I'm just like, whoa, this is some energy stuff. Like, because I've just been so happy for a while, and I'm just like, man, I didn't realize how much this energy stuff is real.
How long it's been
since I felt that, you know, right, that uncomfortable, like, why are we even talking about this? That makes no sense, right? It's a lot of people end up spending a lot of time. See, that's why I don't really. I mean, you know, a lot of people kind of, you know, give me for it, but, you know, I really don't pay a lot of attention to, you know, politics as much, religion as much, just simply because these are tools that the media and the upper class use to keep the poor class controlled, right? And not to say it's like not believing in religion and not believing in politics and all these things, but the way that the media uses these things to control the masses, right? People use these as things to, you know, to deflect from focusing on their lives, on their lives, on things that are affecting them right now. Right? I've seen politics ruin relationships.
I mean, if you think about it, look what the last election, like everybody pretty much put life on pause.
Life on pause.
To talk about Donald Trump.
He's a rock star.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Like, look, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democrat, but because it's just like, I mean, look, those are the biggest gangs you can think of. They just Bloods and Crips, right? Right? It's a continuous cycle. It's a continuous cycle of. It's like if we're talking about unity and peace and all this other stuff, we're so divided as one country that we only got two classes that you can really vote for. But it's like we have more than just Democrats and Republicans, right? But they just control so much, right? And especially, you know, like how, you know, Democrats, you know, they control the black people, and Republicans, you know, they keep spewing at black people. It's just like, yo, it's just a lot of these times I feel people get too indulged in these things, and they forget that, look, life is happening right now. You still need to work.
You know what's crazy? That kind of, I'm gonna relate this to relationships.
Yeah.
Like, I really see people go through the same problems that other people go through, but when they look at it, they're like,
they're stuck.
That shouldn't happen.
They're stuck, right? Because you know, it goes back to the energy thing. These are things that are used to control your emotions and your energy, right? Right? And by time that you're sitting here getting caught up in politics and religion and relationships, I guess even relationships, right? That energy, you don't have enough energy left to put towards yourself, to put towards what you need to do. Because you just spent 2 hours, 3 hours arguing about stuff you don't even know about. You just reading the footnotes.
Yo, so like on our journey, y'all, all of us are married, right? So on our journey to elevating, when I got in the room with positive people, it felt weird. Yeah. I didn't even know how to interpret energy.
Right, because us growing up, we feel that positive is fake. Like, right, we don't think that, we think somebody's, because we're just so on the defensive.
Trying to figure out the game. Like, why is this person so cheerful right now?
Right. Yo, like, it's like Joe Budden when he was mad at Little Yachty. He was like, you can't be that happy. And he's like, it was like, yo, bro, I'm happy. Chill. I can't believe you're not that happy. Because if he's angry, he knows you can't be happy. Like, you know? So it's like, it's one of those things, like you said, you get around those people. It's like, yo, I didn't know how to act.
Yo, I was in Clubhouse, right? Yeah. And I was listening to this guy speak.
That's another area.
But he was positive. Well, he wasn't positive. He was thinking alternatively, right? So after people ask questions, he says, everybody that asked me a question wanted an answer. But when they asked the question, they said, you can't be that happy.
You can't be happy. Right.
So he was asking for how can you be that happy?
How can you be that happy?
But he couldn't physically say it.
Right.
He was searching for an answer, so he got upset.
He got upset that he could, right. And see, right. And that's the thing. It's like we're so used to, and that's another thing about fixed mindset, growth mindset. We were taught these things that you got to be on the guard. You got to be like somebody's you got to protect yourself, because it's like this guy got to be up to something. You know what I'm saying?
Weirdest things, like even me going downstairs right now to get my stuff out. You'll just hand me the keys to your building. Most people be like, yo, what are you doing?
Hey,
walk with him.
What did I say before?
Upstairs. He's like, yo, trust right immediately until you give me a reason not to.
We got too much. Look, man, life is too short, man. Like, yo, like, I could literally go outside and get hit by a car tomorrow, bro. Like, Lord be it. But it's like, yo, like, life's too short. Like, we're getting older. Like, we don't have the time like we were kids where you can just walk up to the gym and then see the kids sitting on the mat and you sit on the mat and you guys are tired and now y'all talk about something like Call of Duty or something and now y'all friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all gotta go be at the school for like a whole. Like, we ain't got time for that. We're grown men, right? So it's like I said, I give you my trust, 100%. I'm just like, all right, cool, bet. Trust you less, right? Because it's just like we're just.
And I think that what your mindset comes from the value you put on time. So the people who don't value time, they don't value a lot.
They don't care to argue or waste time or get to the bottom of.
All right, man. It's like. You know, once you get to a point, you know, you like even just reading that book, man, you know, it gets you to a point where you'll start to observe situations like your overhead. Like you'll start to see these situations play out and you're just like, man,
I got a lot of baggage.
It's like, yo, you'll be able to spot these situations. You'll be able to like, man, yo, what are y'all arguing about? Like, what are y'all even talking about? Like, this is a lot of energy being wasted.
I did that today. He said, bro, because I went on Facebook because I didn't know anything about algorithms until yesterday when we talked to the ads guy. Right. And then when he was telling me about retargeting or whatever, they show you so you can stay there a little bit longer. And I was like, dude, I don't even know it. He was like, yo, just believe them because they're going to keep showing it to you.
Right. The way, yo, listen, man, Facebook is so crazy. Have you ever, I was watching an interview, they were talking to one of the guys who works at Facebook and they asked him.
Whistleblower?
I think so. They asked him the question. They said, "Hey, man." They asked him the thing that we always ask, like, "Hey, is Facebook listening to us? Is our phone listening to us? Like, is Instagram listening to us? Like, how is it that we talk about something and then it's like it pops up, right?" And he kind of laughed. He's like, "No." He's like, "Look, that's not. It doesn't. We don't do that. That's not what's happening." And what's even crazier is what he said, which his response was kind of crazier. It's kind of like a crazy thing, but it's actually amazing how far we are at. He said, look, what that is, or what we can attest to what that may be, is that Facebook, he's like, which now Meta, which I think is a brilliant play, but he says, hey, Facebook, we know you, right? He says, we have an algorithm that we've set up in place that Facebook has gathered information on you for years and years. They don't have to listen to you. He said, we've gathered so much information on you that we know your habits, we know your how long you spend on a post, the things that you like, the things that you comment, how long you watch a video, how when you swipe after a video, we know what you like, we know what you don't like. He said that our algorithm is so precise that we're able to predict. He said that the algorithm is so precise that we can predict your habits before you even do them.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
That's great. Because I'm
people over here putting their phones in the other room for no reason and stuff. Like, you gave them the information.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not doing that, right? But that was just his explanation that, hey, we've built a machine that has learned you, right? And one beautiful thing to this is, like, I always do it myself as well, and I do it on purpose. Facebook knows what you like, and Instagram knows what you like. So if you spend all day liking booty pics on Instagram, Instagram is going to show you twerk videos, right? But if you spend, and I've done this, and I do this, you know, if I go through my feed, it's all positive, motivational stuff. I purposely change. You can change it.
I would literally, if I see a post that I feel like it's gonna distract me on Facebook, I'll hit. I don't want to see this for the next 30 days. How
you fix it? The next time, go purposely try to find these positive posts.
So search them.
First you want to just find something, right? And I'm pretty sure since if you follow these guys post positive stuff too. Everybody's an algorithm. We're all an algorithm. Just start liking positive stuff, right? When you start it starts with one or two. Then it's going to start showing you these quotes and things that, you know, we feed ourselves. There's so much negative information being fed to us on a daily basis, right? And what I've noticed is that as society, you know, every day, you know, the hot topics of the day are the top 5 trending things on Twitter, on Facebook. That determines your conversations for the day. Wow. That's crazy. I'm not even like, right.
What have we talked? I mean, we talked about Travis Scott.
Right. The top 5 things that are trending determine what you're going to talk to on an average basis to somebody, you know, your mother, your friend. That's why I try not to see the topics and I try not to see the trending things, because that's another thing that kind of, you know, the way our mind works is like, we don't know it, but it's kind of warping the way it's shaping. Right. So that's why even when I wake up, I don't check my social media, right? I don't check emails. I don't do nothing. I think when I wake up, I just want to make sure that the first thing that I think about is me, right? Because if you check your emails and you check your Facebook, you're putting other people before you.
You're already going to work.
Right. You're valuing other people before yourself, right? So you don't even get. That's why I always spend like an hour to myself in a day, just to myself, right? So even when I'm doing that, I just started realizing it's just like social media, like, see, that's the downside of social media, is that it can just warp the way we interact with people. It can warp our minds. But the upside of it is you can use it to your advantage.
Monetizing. I'd say this every day to people. Like, y'all out here just telling your stories for free on the internet.
I told my brother was playing 2K a while ago. I'm like, man, you playing 2K for free? You a chump. Like, there's people out here making millions playing 2K.
Mm-hmm. Support black college.
Wow, I literally was just watching a video about them. I literally was watching an interview. Matter of fact, I still got the interview pulled up on my MacBook. Literally, it was they interviewed the light skinned dude. Yep, he
Social Proof you was watching?
And I don't know if it was social.
It was an ad. He had an ad.
No, what's funny was it wasn't even from the ad. I was cause like, look, I'm not even lying to you. I swear to God.
Yeah, I saw it from the ad, bro. He was like, yeah. You know,
like, I'm starting.
Oh yeah, you doing that?
I'm doing a clothing line. So I literally was on YouTube, and then I was looking up like, one of the people I like.
Fire.
I appreciate it. I just kind of drew it on the iPad. But one of the guys I was looking at is Bobby Hundreds from the Hundreds. And I was listening to his story, and his story was kind of crazy. How he kind of the clothing company, right? The Hundreds, right? Yeah. And I was just looking up his interview, and then I saw his interview after. And, you know, they made multi-million dollars off of the Support Black Colleges brand. And he was just kind of breaking it down, you know.
I watched the interview.
Yeah. No, he was good. It was real good. It was real good, you know. And it was just funny because how he said it kind of came about. You know, he said he really didn't. I think he said he didn't even really start the company. Like, he he kind of like one of his cousins or friends kind of.
Support by Class Guy?
Yeah.
So there was like 3 people.
3 people. Yeah.
They started it and then it kind of fell off.
Yeah, and he kind of just does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was just like, yo, he has like inventory and all this other stuff. So I was just like, yeah, that's just crazy. Just even seeing where it's kind of going. Okay. But and even the Bobby Hundreds, the way that Bobby Hundreds.
I might watch that.
Yeah, watch the Bobby Hundreds one. And matter of fact, it's a Complex show. Complex has a show where they interview the top CEOs of these brands. They interview the guy from Cause. They interview.
Is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. They do, and it's like a whole series where they just interview these entrepreneurs who started these brands, and they tell you exactly like their story of like how they started the brand, whoop-de-whoop, what had happened.
CEOs do interviews now.
Yeah. The Bobby Hundreds one was crazy because he basically talked about. He said that when he first started, it was him and his boy, and him and his boy started the clothing line, and he said they didn't know how to sell their clothing line. So he said what they did was he said that him and his boy went into a store, just a random store, and he was like, "Yo, do you guys have any of the hundreds?" And then the guy was like, "The hundreds?" He's like, "Nah." He's like, "Y'all don't have any of the hundreds?" He's like, "Nah, I don't know what that is." And he was like, "Oh man, yo, y'all gotta get up, y'all gotta get hip to that." He's like, "Oh man, okay, I'll check it out." And what was funny was they were able to get their clothes into another store up the street, right? But they just because they knew the guy or something like that. So he was like putting their stuff in the stores, and he said the guy that they told, he was like, "Yo, you got the hundreds?" He was like, "Nah." Then he called the other guy up the street and said, "Hey man, have you ever heard of a brand called the Hundreds?" And he's like, yeah, we got some. And what was funny was this is how they finessed it. So they got their clothes into a guy's store, and then they got their friends to come buy the clothes from the store that they got their clothes in. So when they went to the second store, they told the guy, they said, "Hey, you got some hundreds?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Man, you guys got to get on it. They selling out." He's like, "Okay." So he calls the guy at the street, and the guy at the street says, "Hey man, have you heard of a brand called the Hundreds?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I just had some. It's all gone."
That's
setup.
It's a setup. They positioned it, right? He said, "Oh no, we don't got we sold out." And then he called the guys. He said, "Hey man, I think I want to get some of your guys the Hundreds.
Can I put an order in now?
How can I get some order? Can I get an order in for your clothes?" So he got the clothes, and he said that was kind of the thing. He said we created this hype around of our brand that had no hype.
Okay. So you did the music. You're getting into clothing now. What are some things that you kind of creating hype around right now?
I mean, one of the main things obviously is the audio company.
Audio.
Yeah. I'm working. At the point where I see it is my main thing is, just following, the greats and just understanding. I was just watching this Kanye interview and, Drink Champs is a great interview. He talks about a lot of great points. A lot of people won't be able to pick up on these points or listen to these points. They in the frame of mind. Oh, his haircut. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's said a lot of stuff in that interview. But that just, like you said, the frame of mind of how people operate, They're willing to write off things. I'm like, man, this guy's a billionaire.
Because you don't understand.
You don't understand it. So he's crazy. Man, this guy's worth $9 billion.
Not one.
Not one.
Because I heard
he made sure.
Forbes. And in my head, I thought it was I thought he was just a single billionaire. But to break the $3 billion threshold, hard as fuck.
Think about this for a second, right? We don't champion a black man. You just said Grant Cardone's worth $3 billion. Kanye's worth $9 billion.
Oh man.
Oprah Winfrey's worth $2 billion. Donald Trump is worth $2.7 billion.
That's insane.
Yo, we kind of.
He's worth $9 billion, and we call him crazy
because he doesn't follow.
Court of public.
Because he doesn't follow. But they call all billionaires crazy. Look how they do Elon Musk in the media. Look how they do
Grant Cardone.
Right. Look how they do. Look how they do. Right. Because you don't understand it. Right. Right. People. When you should be listening to these people, you should be listening to Grant Cardone. You should be listening to the Kanyes. You should be listening to Kanye sitting here. He went on Drink Champs for 4 hours, but they did a part 2, telling you the game. Jay-Z did a whole album telling you the game, a blueprint, right? But people don't want to follow it. They say people like Kanye is crazy. I'm like, this man's worth 9.
Yo, I literally do the opposite of what society will tell me. Just because I'm like, yo, there's no reason why y'all saying no.
It's because people aren't afraid. People project their insecurities onto you. Because if I can't do it, you can't do it.
So if I call him crazy, then I don't have to try.
Misery loves company, right? Somebody would rather see you fail just because they don't want to fail alone.
Ooh, that's a bar. Good.
They can't do it. They would rather see you come down with them.
So, dang, because I was about to say I was going to say that people are afraid of success, but if I'm not afraid of success, they're just afraid to fail by themselves.
They're afraid to fail by themselves. They don't want to be there alone because.
And you know what's crazy too? People will attach to you when they find out that you were going to be successful, or when you already got there, and then they'll say you changed to try to bring you down or something like that. Like, bro, like my friends or whatever, or family, when I finally started getting people to pay me for consultations, so I wasn't doing them for free, they're like, oh, the little big shot.
You changed.
You know, the
see,
little big shot.
Hey, you see, Meek Mill said this. Meek Mill said, he said, when I started to get money, he said, my boys started asking me for money, and he said, I told him no, and he said, he was like, man, he said, my boys started telling me I changed. You changed. He said, I ain't changed. You changed. You never used to ask me for money.
Never asked me for 20 bands.
You never asked me for 20 bands for more. What are you talking about? You've never asked me for money before. How did I change? Right? So it's right. It's
Meek Mill's Wallow and Gilly interview. Fire.
Yeah.
After he dropped Expensive Pain, y'all gotta watch that.
Yeah. Like you said, people see, if you can't give me what I want, I gotta make you feel bad or trick you into giving me what I want. It's the craziest thing, right? People will start to do my psychology games, right, to make you feel bad, like you not doing something, you know. But I always say it like this: I feel like I'm doing you a disservice if I just give you money, because
you're gonna lose it.
You're gonna. It's like
I
I feel bad because you're not asking me for what's really valuable, the knowledge.
That's crazy because. When we started our company, we were like, hey, yo, we found something that works. And we're like, yo, everybody.
Oh, they don't want to hear that.
Join together and let's build this up.
Why don't y'all just do it and just give us some money?
Yeah, right.
and then we had an opportunity where we were going to get hired, but we were just going to have to sign a non-compete.
So you can't compete.
And then everybody was going to have to figure it out for themselves.
Right.
It was like, hey man, look, bro, I don't know, man. I was like, yo, this is a big opportunity for us.
Yeah.
Like,
no. See,
let's talk about it.
The crazy thing about this is that, you know, if you really want to think of, if you really get down to it, you know, knowledge is free. That's the craziest thing. Knowledge is free, right? It's all out here. It's out here, right? Knowledge is more valuable than money itself, right? Mm-hmm. Go back to the old saying: you can teach a man how to fish. For what is it? You feed a man a fish. You feed him for a day. You teach a man to fish. You feed him for a lifetime, right? And that's the thing. Like, to me, I feel like it's a disservice for me just to give money away. Because first of all, that's not how I was built anyway. I wasn't doing that. So that's that. Second thing is, like, I'd rather teach you how to go get it. I'd rather teach you, because that's going to help you in the long run, because you'll be more self-efficient that way, you know. But sometimes when you say that, that sounds like a process, and people don't want to do a process. People are afraid. Now here's the thing: I could teach you something, you could do it quicker than I did it. That's the whole point.
Wow.
If not better. You know when you had, like, your parents always bring you up, and they always bring, like, oh man, I used to have to do this, and I went over to see, and I you know what I had to do to bring you and your sister over here, and this and this and this, and they talk about the hardships that they went through, right? And they use that against you,
like guilt.
Remember, that's that fixed mindset. They use it as guilt. But wasn't that the point for you to come here so I could do better, right? So you're already kind of like psychologically messing me up, right? And that's the type of thing I was talking about. How people, sometimes it's like, that what is it? Your mental, man, like it's powerful. That like you can be successful in the mind years before you're ever like successful, because that's where it starts truly. You don't just wake up one day, you got
the game.
Yeah, right. You don't wake up one day with the AP and the bad chick in the bed and this and that. You know what I'm saying? You don't wake up with that with the $1 million. Like it's a process, right? But when people see that, they're like, man, I want that. Like they feel like you cheated, like you got it all at once. Like you got it all at once, like something like you cheated the game or something.
They saw it all at once.
Hey, tell me the sauce. Tell me the sauce. See, and I tell this. This is what I tell the people all the time. In order to win, you got to lose. I got here by losing. That's the secret. That's it, right? When you play, like, see, people think it's like people get to a point where they think it's just like they're too scared to fail, so they never end up. They're too scared to try or fail, so they never end up competing. They never even play the game. Whew. Right? They're on the sideline. So imagine, right? When you as a kid you played Super Mario, right? You don't just get Super Mario. You don't just get the game Super Mario, and you just gonna beat the game without dying.
You gonna lose.
You gotta die. Bro, you gotta die to win. Like, yo, that's the game. That's all video games.
You know what my goal was? I played video games so much. My parents had to make me go out the house. I beat Mario without dying, but not the first time.
Not the first time.
So the goal was to do it.
The goal
was to do it without dying.
Right. See, and in order to learn that, so you set yourself a goal. In order to accomplish that goal, you had to learn the game. There's impossible for you to go beat the game on the first try. The first matter of fact, and here's it wouldn't be a miracle because the game is set up for you to intentionally lose without knowing your surroundings. You have to learn you got to know the game first. When you know it, then you can
know what challenge.
Right. You want to know why? You want to know why? There is a reason that when you're playing Mario, the side of the screen comes. Right? Why is that?
They're not gonna let you see the whole game.
They're not gonna let you sit there and second guess. Imagine if you were just sitting there like, oh man, if I can just jump. No. Let me wait. The screen is cutting off. You gotta play the game.
It's like right there.
It's right there. You don't have no time to think, right? Because they don't want you to sit there and think and overthink it. Because when you overthink it, you won't beat the game. You're just gonna sit there and question every jump, every attack, every move. You're gonna just question it all, right? That's not fun. You ever sit there and play with a person who's like has to stop the game, and you ever played a fighting game and the person got to stop the game to go read the menu, like, oh, is this the controller? Like, yo, and then it's like, all right, let's go. Oh, wait. Like, yo, that's not fun.
Let me read the comments.
Let me read it. Like,
so we was listening to TDJ this morning.
Oh, TDJ, yeah.
What he said something about being comfortable and being in the crowd. I wish I could say it, but to go back into your thing. One of my mentors says that it's never failure, it's feedback.
It's feedback.
You would have never got where you go because he teaches that everything grows in a cycle. Like you can't defeat nature. So when you plant a tree, you got to plant it in the ground.
Right.
You got to kill it. But I got two questions before this equipment, dog. One, you a big Murakami fan?
Murakami. Yeah.
Like his art, that's what's up. Now, who are some of your favorite producers? Right.
My favorite producers right now.
Who's putting music out with you, like, man?
Some of my favorite producers out right now. Well, I gotta say, shout out to my bro. He's probably biased, but it's my homie, Jay Lewis. Mm-hmm. He did the No Guidance, Drake and Chris Brown. So he's probably one of my favorite producers out right now. But I can't even lie, like that's he co-produced 502 Come Up With Me, okay. So that's kind of like biased. But Jay Lewis, Sunny Digital, he always kind of just supports me. Mm-hmm. Who else is some people, man? Shoot, there's a lot, man. Leon Thomas, really dope producer. He just produced on Drake's last album. Man, it goes on.
One of my favorites lately, The Alchemist.
Oh man, yeah, The Alchemist. So yo, honestly, I love the second wind that hip hop is getting. you know,
From
Freddie
like
Gibbs
Griselda,
and Griselda, Freddie Gibbs, you know,
Earl
Freddie Gibbs.
Sweatshirt too. Him and Alchemist work a lot together.
Shoot, who would have known Alchemist would have got nominated for a Grammy last year? You know what I'm saying? Right, and Freddie Gibbs. You know that's just kind of crazy to me. But I love that movement too. Like honestly, my favorite producers are all the upcoming young producers. Like honestly, like because you know to me, you gotta be able to innovate and you gotta be able to accept change. You know, music is changing every second, and the people who get it's either you innovate or get left behind. You know, and a lot of people aren't willing to change or accept changes or that's how you get classified as an old head. You know, the old head thing. Oh, you just old head. You don't like hip hop now. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not what's kept me, you know, producing for over 10 years is to evolve and change with the times. But that's for everything. That's what you know. To me personally, technology. You gotta accept technology. Like, you know how people be like against like Facebook. You look what they doing like in the news. They got Facebook like. Facebook is bad for kids and this. Please don't listen. If Facebook was so bad for kids, you would ban cigarettes. What about the epidemic of cigarettes? Like I can go to the gas station. There is nothing beneficial about cigarettes, right? But they wouldn't dare pull these cigarette companies into the courtrooms and do all the public shaming that they do on Facebook, trying to use the kids as it's warping our kids' minds. It's something that's not even like you can't even tangibly prove it, but I can tangibly say, hey, look, man, cigarettes kill.
You can tell different stories about how social media hurts somebody's feelings, though. You know?
Right, but I can physically show you a lung. and this is not proof enough for you to go this hard against cigarette companies. You know why? They can't do it because it's like big pharma. They make too much money. Look, now alcohol's cool. I like alcohol, but there's no beneficial thing for alcohol. Like, yo, look, man, alcohol is just poison. Exactly. You throw up the next day. Your body says, "What is this?" Right? But they don't go hard for that. They don't go hard for cigarettes, but they go hard for technology, right? And then if you really think about it, you guys have a business. Would you hire a 70-year-old man to work for your business?
Depending on his knowledge.
A 70, well, you got to think. If I'm 70, my values and my knowledge.
You don't know how to use computers. He don't
right?
know how to.
So you wouldn't hire a 70-year-old guy. That wouldn't be your first pick. Let's say that. That wouldn't be your first pick. Why are 70-year-olds running the country?
I was actually gonna say that. I was gonna say, well,
most
you can't get them out of office.
Because you can't get them out of the office because they get seats for 50 plus years.
Whew, why?
They set it up that way.
They set it up that way. We played it. They made the game and made the rules
before we was born.
Right. You still got people who've been in office for 50 years. Just chilling, talking about cryptocurrency. Trying to impose laws on cryptocurrency.
The hundreds of thousands that they make to invest in the same things.
They don't want you because you don't found a loophole on how to not pay taxes.
Yes.
Not pay their salary.
So
get this NFT real quick.
Right. What's stopping you from putting all your money in crypto or NFT and just letting it sit and not because you don't have to pay taxes until you pull it out. Yep. So you got people who are using that to keep their money in NFTs and crypto.
And you controlling the value of it.
And you control the value.
Money in it too.
And you control the money of it. So now they're trying to. I saw, I forget who just proposed this, but I know she was like 60, 70 years old. She said, man, you know what? We need to impose a law where you still have to pay on your capital gains even if you didn't take it out. Even if you didn't pull it out.
Yes. I don't think I saw it. I think I saw
She just proposed it.
Everybody around him probably looked at her like, you out of your mind.
Probably all the,
but I mean,
not the people in the office, exactly. Right? They want to, right? Because that's all the government set up. If they're not getting a piece of it, then we don't want to hear about it. Look at weed.
They're not getting a piece, but they are now.
They are now. And so what happened? I'm in LA. There's a lady out there, a soccer mom, who runs a successful weed shop business. She sells weed cookies. Right? Meanwhile, there's thousands and thousands of black people locked up in jail because of the same thing.
Avoiding those taxes.
Right? Because the government wasn't getting a piece of it. Now that they can get a piece of it legally, now it's okay.
they're backtracking, trying to win the public perception.
Well, this is the Boston. It's like the Boston
But
Tea Party.
it's gonna work.
It's like the Boston Tea Party. Like that's all it is. Look, they couldn't tax alcohol. It was being imported too much, coming from all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So they were like, man, we're gonna ban this. No, you can't do that. So they just set fire upon everything, right? Oh, okay. You guys can have alcohol, but we need to tax it.
Bro, I swear that it works. No matter how many times they say, "Hey, we don't want you to do this," the negotiation always comes to, well, how much are you willing to tax or allow us to tax to allow you to do this? Which is nuts,
right? Because cryptocurrency makes too many millionaires overnight. You mean tell me I can put $1,000 into a shit coin, and I'm not sure if we can cuss on here.
Absolutely.
I'm not. You can't. You can put $1,000 into a shit coin, and then I can be a millionaire tomorrow.
And you know what's crazy? So when they invest in stuff like this, they put them out this situation. Hopefully, they don't get wind of, hey, I can invest in this party,
right,
to unseat you,
right,
because I got rich off of something you didn't even understand.
Because you didn't even understand.
So that's where the laws come in and try to block this stuff.
Because they don't understand it. They don't understand it. So we have to look. The reason why they're imposing these laws, right, is because they don't understand it. So they need to slow it down so they can understand it.
We'll benefit from it.
They don't know it yet. So we need to stop you from benefiting first, so we can understand it. All we see is just people getting rich and not paying taxes.
It's making us uncomfortable.
And you know what's crazy? Because they acting off of analytics, so they didn't even run the analytics yet.
No, they haven't even run it. They haven't even run it.
It's just test, and then
they can't. They got too many people. They see too many people in LA riding around in a Lamborghini with a Bitcoin wrapped Lamborghini. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I really feel like politicians move off of social media and the news more than like what's actually going on.
100%. Right. Instead of focusing on the real issues, right? Facebook's in the
they're focusing on the cash grab.
They're focusing on why is Facebook in the media? It's because it makes so much money. Too much.
They're scared.
They're scared.
They were scared of Mark Zuckerberg kind of making his own style of government with Facebook. They said he was getting too powerful. They had him at Congress doing subpoenas and stuff like that.
Yeah, if he was to, like, he can literally change the culture by putting, it's his platform. He can put something in there and say, hey, let's all invest in this. And change the world.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Bro, but that's what America also did by saying that you can only buy oil, the entire world can only buy oil using the dollar. So it's like they took their influence and made sure that they got a piece of everything.
Right. And that's the thing, that's what America does. It's like we're always second, but we always tell people we're first. Right. We're always behind on stuff, really. Right. If you really want to talk about technology, I think the leading technology giant that's kind of coming out the gate right now really is India. It's kind of catching up real fast.
So Derek was talking about like the way the world is going right now, they don't need space. Yeah. And these people are sending their kids to school, like school. Yeah. So they're learning technology while the land isn't that. Yeah. And they can come over here and replace you.
Yeah. Sure. Look, turn your phone over. What's it say on your phone? It says made in China. Right?
Sheesh.
Right? A lot of these companies, man, they outsource the jobs anyway.
To be honest, I really feel like it comes with like the technology boom that happened in the 90s. Yeah. Being behind that curve was actually a good thing. Like being part of those countries that weren't the ones that reaped the benefits immediately off this subpar technology, because it wasn't that great technology. Yeah. Now the technology is up there and it's easily accessible. These people are learning these skills with nothing else in their minds,
Right.
They're becoming experts, But
right. And that's what's crazy to me, that you can see all of these things happening right now. You got NFTs, crypto, you have the internet. There's so many beautiful things going around. It mind boggles me that when people like, you don't want to learn this, like, who's it say? You can no, that's cool. I'll let it go. That's actually funny though. That's actually funny. That's hey, let me call you back. Alright. That's actually it's funny. That's funny. That's actually Jay Lewis. That's the guy I was telling you. He did the no guys.
Well, I appreciate you, my brother. We ain't gonna hold you up.
Nah, man. Look, like I like this, bro. Because I never get to talk. You know, the thing is, I talk a lot. Like I talk a lot, but it's like I live by myself, so it's like I'm not talking to nobody.
Talking to myself.
Yeah, no. So I usually, I like talking about this type of stuff, man. It's just, I feel like, being able to converse about these things is like, you want to be around people who are like-minded. Mm-hmm. You want to be around people who have, similar goals in mind. My thing was like, to me, like I said, like, boom, information is free. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really paying you. I'm paying you guys to like help me with my credit, but I'm paying really because I want to build this relationship. Mm-hmm. I don't like, that's cool. Like whatever that is cool. But you guys seem to me like you guys know like what the fuck you're talking about, and you're like-minded. Like I can see you guys want to go where I want to go. Man, I want the motherfucking. I want that wheel. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like. You gotta surround yourself with people who have like-minded, same frame of mind. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you truly grow, right? Because you're not gonna grow around people who don't want to grow. That's one thing that I had to realize is just like, man, people around me just didn't want to grow. Me being in LA, man, I'm talking about like, I'm around people who just doing drugs all day, sitting, doing nothing, going out.
Excited about life, ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, drop it to me.
I'm gonna send you the whole thing, but I appreciate it because I wanted to like see the other side because I know everybody hears your music, but they don't know how you think.
They don't know. Right.
The thought process of how you express yourself. So I'm just glad you got to sit down and really tell people about what you have going on besides music.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. Like honestly, it's like the way I see it is, music to me was just going to be the stepping stone to get where I needed to go.
Absolutely.
Right now, I'm just trying to surround myself with the people that can help me get to where I need to go. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like that was one of my main things. Was like I didn't like credit. Like that was one of the things I never really understood, so I never really messed with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I just grinded until I was able to get to a point where it's like, okay, now that's kind of holding me back. You know what I'm saying? Like from doing what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? So like my main thing is just like, I'm trying to be around the like-minded individuals, the people that want to, grow and be able to, just boss up, and ownership. I just started realizing ownership is the key to life. That's it. That's it. And I also noticed is that, when you look at a lot of these people, it's multiple incomes, multiple streams of revenue. That's really how you do it. Nah, right. Man, when I realized it's like, when I realized if you wanted to be a millionaire, I realized if you want to be a millionaire, it's pretty simple. You tell a lot of people like, oh, you want to be a millionaire? It's simple. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, how's it simple? It's like, really simple. It's like, you really only need to make $2,300 a day to be a millionaire. So your problem is not being a millionaire. Your problem is like, man, how would I need to do to make $2,300 a day? What do I do to do that? And it gets real simple when you start breaking it down, right? If I had a t-shirt business, that means if it's $2,300 a day, that means I need to sell at least 60 to 70 t-shirts a day, right? All right, that's a lot of t-shirts, right? But let's say, okay, boom, well that's one t-shirt business. Let's say my one t-shirt business is 20 shirts a day. All right, well now I need to find a product that's worth about the same amount that'll make up for convert the rest of the 40.
So, we did. So instead of going outside our niche, which I would tell you is, if you need to sell that many shirts a day, look at all these buildings with all these names on it. You can set up not a drop shipping company, but a drop shipping company in sorts, along with what you got. Once your production is going, you got the
man. That's a funny thing, man. I always, I had a boy when I was in LA. I had a boy. I was like, man, listen, man. There's people getting rich every day. I was like, there is no excuse. You got people getting rich from drop shipping every day. You got people getting rich from the internet. Is the most craziest thing. It's like I said before. Listen, knowledge is free, right? Knowledge is free. You don't have to go to school to learn about the Revolutionary War. If you want to learn about the Revolutionary War, you can just Google it. Right? Most people, I see it like this. I'm pretty sure, do you guys know people with gym memberships?
Yes.
Do you guys know people with gym memberships that sometimes don't go?
Yes.
Right? Now, if you don't go to the gym, what happens at the end of the month?
They still charge you.
They don't care if you went to the gym or not. They don't care if you put in the work or not. They still charging you that 40, 50 at the end, right? So it's the same concept with our phones, the internet, right? We pay hundreds of dollars for our phones every month. We pay $100 for our internet every month. Now, you can either use your phone for leisure, or you use your phone to make money and go learn.
You spend money on it anyway.
You spending money on it anyway. Why, like, yo, it's like it's just going to the gym. Internet, it's like, yo, your computer's like going to the gym. Your phone is like going to the gym. It's like, yo, you can go work out and put in the work because you're paying for it, but if you don't, it doesn't matter. You're still paying for it, right?
That's crazy.
So I always kind of seen it like that. I was like, man, you know what? Well, if the only thing that's stopping me, because we're in the age now where it's like, I always tell my pops, because my pops, he does Airbnb and stuff, and, we always talk about, like, profits and stuff like that. And I just remember we were talking profits one time, and, he was like, he told me, like, how much he was making off his Airbnbs. He was just like, yeah, we just bring in, like, 10K, 12K or whatever. And I'm just like, all right, what's the overhead? Like, how much is after overhead? And he was like, well, we have to do this and pay this, da-da-da-da. It's like, we did about, like, 4, 5, 6 probably. And I'm like, we brought in 38K in 1 month. No overhead.
That's what he was telling me about.
Right.
He's like, yo, because we were talking about selling low ticket products.
Right.
And I was like, sell what you know. He was like,
sell what you know.
He's like, bro, we're trying to get to Cali. You're in a car. I want to get in that jet. But I was telling him, I was like, yo, if you don't get to the jet, then I might beat you in the car. And I'm like, yo, and I used to tell him all the time. He was like, we're in a race to be who's going to be the first millionaire.
Right.
In his line of work, all you need is one deal.
All you need, right.
So then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to connect with people like you.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised that the work that you did, the product that you did that cost you the most amount of work, right? The most amount of leg work, the physical work. Right, you're gonna start realizing that it's really the knowledgeable work that's gonna start making you the most money because knowledge sells, right? That's why you wouldn't see all of these gurus on Instagram and building up their followings and then selling. Like, if you're not selling knowledge, you're missing out, right? You're missing out because it's what I've realized is the best way to approach it is the macro. Most people try to get the when you think about it, it's like, who makes more money, Lamborghini or Nissan?
That's what we thought about it. Wow.
I couldn't tell you because I really feel like
you
Nissan does numbers. I mean, I want to say Lamborghini.
No.
It's Nissan, huh?
It's Nissan.
The volume.
Yeah, it's the volume. You can't beat the volume, right? So when you would say, Lamborghini doesn't even do commercials, right? Because they said that their customers they don't watch TV, that they don't do commercials, right? That's cool, but
no exposure.
You have no exposure, right? So you have a very select niche of a market. They make money, but not much as Nissan. Who makes more money, Gucci or Gap? Gap. Who makes more money, Louis Vuitton or Walmart clothes? Definitely Walmart.
Louis Vuitton, all the black people would
they don't start spending, right?
They had a run.
They had a spike. But when you see somebody like a Kanye prove to you, right? He partnered with the Gap, and now he's worth $9 billion. He was worth $2 billion at one point. No, he was worth $1 billion. One point, he partnered with the Gap and jumped up to 4.7, then went to 5.5. Now he actually released a line with Gap. Now he's worth 9.2.
All right, now I got to change my way of thinking. I got to change my perspective because, just like you said, I'm looking at a painting.
You're looking at painting, right? Now,
but what Mark was saying, since you have a small following, you want to sell a little high ticket thing.
Yeah.
Raise up the capital and then go. We got a big following and these cheaper.
We don't do our credit repair no more.
Yeah.
We do business credit and teach people how to fix credit.
Yeah.
But the credit repair pays for our staff.
Right. It's about the pivot. And the main thing is, like, what I've seen, like, trust me, I've seen, I follow a lot of people on Instagram that kind of do, like, Airbnbs and all this other stuff. I seen one guy go from, he's like a 21-year-old kid, and he does Amazon. He does, like, Amazon, like, drop shipping, but he does Amazon where you partner. Yeah, Amazon marketing. What is it called? What's it called? You know what I'm talking about.
What's that boy name? Morrison, brother? Yeah, what does he sell?
He does.
I forget
Which one? You talking about Anthony Morrison?
Yeah, the
He
one.
does internet. No, he does email marketing.
I know his name's like.
What's the other guy?
His other brother is Anthony.
The one that does the.
Shopify.
He's one of these guys. He
does affiliate.
What is affiliate marketing? Boom, that's what it's called. Affiliate marketing, right?
For Amazon.
I seen him. He went from, and this was only in a time span of a couple months. He had 8,000 followers the first time I had seen him. To this day, he has 111,000, right? And I promise you, he did it all through advertising, right? Because that's how he does. He just advertised, and the things that he was advertising really wasn't a product at that. Really, it was like the information. He was like, look, he was just telling you like Amazon market, affiliate marketing. That was his ads that he was running. And I seen him, he went from 8,000 to 111,000 in a couple months, 6 months.
Because
right?
he told him, you don't have to own the product. You just have to talk about it.
You just got to talk about it. Matter of fact, there was a chick. Matter of fact, I swear to God, I forget. It was like a black lady. Black lady becomes black lady 7 figures. Instagram.
I know what you're talking about.
Pandemic.
You talking about Ella Talk to Money?
Nah. She sold makeup, right? Crayola box?
No, she wasn't doing makeup. The funniest thing about it is, let me see. Was it her?
The Jimbo? I know.
No, it's not her. It's not her. Black lady, entrepreneur. It's right here. Wait. Boom. All right. So this chick right here.
Yeah, Ella.
Right. Now.
I see her somewhere.
Yeah, that's L. That's Leo's. Leo's. What you call it? Student?
Mentee.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, L, right? So look. So this chick right here. What the craziest part about this is, so during the pandemic, she had lost her job, right? Long to kind of sum up everything. During the pandemic, she lost her job, right? So.
Go all in, baby.
Right. So during the time she lost her job because of the pandemic, she got a stimulus check. Now the stimulus check was like $1,200. She took the stimulus check and used the stimulus check to go buy, I think it was like a camera, some lighting, and some stuff so she could start her Instagram, right? So she got fired from her job, and then what she decided to do was she created an Instagram where she talks about how to build a business, a successful business. But she didn't have a successful business because she was working for a business. But she's feeding people information on how to do it. So she talked her way into creating a business that talks about.
Yeah, she talking about building business.
She made a business about how to build a business, not have a business.
She made
Seven, and she grew into a 7-figure business. And look how many, bro.
She sell low ticket parts too.
Yeah. And what was crazy was,
That's the one that got out that car?
look at this.
That was it.
Now when she did it, she only had she said she had 3,000 followers.
Yeah, because she stopped doing ads. She stopped doing those reels.
Yep, the reels
at the right time.
At the right time, the reels. She started doing she was doing sponsors. She was doing ads and stuff too as well. But she made a 7-figure business from. She just does Instagram now, but she did a 7-figure business. For making a business, telling you telling you the steps to create a business, like how to do an LLC, all this other stuff, giving tips, right? Just giving information. And she turned that into a business by teaching you how to make a business, but she didn't really have a business. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? Now that's why I said it's knowledge.
She projected herself onto people who were looking for the information.
Looking for the information because she was working for some firm, like she knows what she's talking about, right? But it was one of those things where it's like, man, I know what I got all this thing in my head, like how can I monetize it, or how can I figure out a way to make this, work for me, right? And I've noticed this is a big thing on Instagram is that
Instagram is a thing. And that's why I kind of pivot from, I got a YouTube. I know YouTube is long term.
Right. No, YouTube is long term. YouTube, there was a statistic shown that how many videos you have to upload in order for you to even be able to get into the algorithm for your YouTube to really kick off. I think you have to upload 3 videos a week like some crazy like 3 to 4 videos
You know,
a week.
I know what it is.
Right, you got to keep
bro.
right, and that's why it's like the people who blow up. If you look at like the top income earners on YouTube, they have thousands and thousands of YouTube videos, and that's like, and that's not
ridiculous.
Right, they post ridiculous. You're not gonna find any people who are on YouTube that are going crazy with just a couple videos. Right, it's not gonna happen. It's always thousands and thousands of videos because you got to get into that algorithm. But when you get into that algorithm,
YouTube start promoting your videos.
it goes crazy. It goes everybody, right? It starts going crazy, and it only takes, and that's the beautiful thing about YouTube. It only takes one to really kind of roll, and then once you'll just wake up one day and you have 40,000 subscribers. I have a boy who has like, this is like my boy. I have a boy.
Right, listen to this. Average at best. Who is that?
Huh?
Average at best.
Average at best. Average at best. Nah, I don't know that. Who's that?
Kevin Sanders.
Kevin Sanders. Oh, yeah, right.
Video.
Oh man, it steamrolled them, right? And even I listen to Fresh and Fit. I don't know if y'all know Fresh and Fit.
Yes.
I love Fresh and Fit, right? I listen to their shit all day, every day. I know they get kind of crazy with the girls and stuff, but they be talking about real stuff, man. Like,
stay consistent.
Yeah,
one video a day.
That's what my thing is with this podcast, man. Consistency.
Yeah. No, that's all it is. It's just consistency. Like even me in like production, like you know how many times people told me I was whack. You know how many times people told me I was whack. No, your beats aren't good. This and that. Like I dealt with it all, bro. Like no.
Here now, man, and we appreciate you for joining us, bro. We're definitely gonna come back and do a part 2.
100%.
Do it again.
100%. Yeah, we did some
I
drink
have
champs.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
What's the one person you always want to work with?
The one person I always wanted to work with
to produce a song for.
Oh, come on, man. That's easy, Drake. That's it.
Oh,
like if I could just get my Drake song, I'm out. Like that's I always be hitting my boy because he did the Drake shit, and I'm just like, bro, I hate you.
Call him back. He probably got.
Yo. I always tell him, I'm like, bro, like, you know, it's the funniest thing is he did the Drake song. You know, the Drake song came out 2 years ago. He's been chilling. Like he signed a deal, and he hasn't produced nothing like for a minute because that one song got him out of here. Now the music industry's kind of crazy because it's like I always say it like this. Myself personally, I'm complete. You know, people like say I'm independent. Like, nah, they not independent. I'm independent. I've never signed a deal. I've never signed a pub deal. I've never signed a record deal. Like, I'm proof that you don't have to do that. Like to make it in the music industry. And that's something I actually do. Like, I actually do Twitch and I do YouTube now. And like, I always say that. Like, I'm like when I'm doing my Twitch or when I'm doing YouTube, I always tell people like, look, you don't have to play the game to win. Like, you just got to be consistent in what you do, and you also just have to make sure that you're building. Was that Rihanna?
I don't know. Somebody.
See, that's another thing too. Rihanna never dropped an album.
You said she ain't gonna drop no more? Oh,
why would she?
Man,
Why
look,
not?
man.
Why not? Why not?
Hey, hopefully by the time we get back,
she don't need to drop ever again. You don't know why? Because she tasted success. Finny, I told my boy, I called it. I told my boy, I said, yo, if Rihanna's not a billionaire by now, she's definitely about on her way. 2 days later, Forbes says she's the first female billionaire in music. Right?
But Beyonce drops an album every year.
Right?
Damn near.
But Rihanna got more money. Right? Now here's the thing. Rihanna, and this is fact, I know this shit. Rihanna only gets 2% of her records. Rihanna only gets paid from touring. She don't get paid from the records or themselves. She only gets 2%. I have a friend. I have a friend who she got 40% of her record. She's a writer. She just wrote. Rihanna only got 2% of her own record, right? So that's the thing. Finny, she gets 100%. That's it. She don't need to produce no more. Why I need to produce? Why I need to produce? Right? Why I need to make songs? Why? Right? You start realizing that, right? And when I also realize this, it's better to pivot, go do something, makes a lot of money, come back, and now you can do whatever you want. That's why Kanye can go disappear and come back and make an album and act like everybody cares and then leave again and go work on what he needs to do because he has the luxury to do that, right? But when you're an artist, you're sitting here struggling,
you probably can't even put out your best work because you're trying so hard.
Right, man. Listen. Go take the momentum that you built with whatever you did in music or outside of music. That's why. Why do you always see these rappers in hip hop and rap? They always got chains and golds and they always fly already, and they got no songs out. It's because they made the money outside of the music first. And they came, and once you got money, you're gonna be around the Yo Gottis. You're gonna be around the Key Glocks. You're gonna be around these guys. You're gonna be around the who's some rappers out here in Atlanta right now, Lil Babies, Gunners. You're gonna be around these guys, right? That's why you just see people like the Nardo Wicks and all these people pop up with like mad features like 21 Savage and all this stuff and these guys don't got records, right? But they got 3 Lamborghinis and
the bread and can afford the feature.
Right, because they made the money outside of music. Now, whether that's with, drugs or property or whatever, I know a lot of guys in the music industry that do money like in real estate, and they use that to kind of like. I don't know if y'all know a guy named Mr. Organic.
I know Mr. Organic.
Mr. Organic, he lived like a rapper, right?
Of course.
He not a rapper. He lived like a basketball.
Ball, don't he?
Nope.
He used to play ball.
Nope. He said he never played ball.
Real estate.
He does real estate. And he does clothes. He sells clothes and real estate and crypto.
Look, man, everybody needs to find their main hustle that's going to support the side hustle. But
I know y'all seen this dude.
Mr. Organic, that's my dude.
You would think he a basketball player the way he lives.
You would think
That's
he a
crazy
rapper.
because I seen him on Fresh and Fit.
Yeah,
Fresh
he's
and
on
Fit.
Fresh and Fit all the time.
Yep.
Yes, sir. But hopefully by the time we come back, man, you'll have that Drake feature we'll talk about.
Oh, man.
Man, this is Chess Moves. We're doing our Atlanta residency. I appreciate you.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate y'all coming through, man. Like, yo, honestly, bro, trust me, I could talk for hours, bro. Like, people talk.